All right, appreciate everybody being on tonight. It was a good scrimmage tonight. We ended up having to start off in the IPF just with a lightning delay. Um, got probably 6 or 7 series there inside. I thought the guys once again just the second time we've had a little bit of a change, a delay. How they handled that. Was I thought they did a good job. Thought we came out with a great deal of energy. I thought it was a physical scrimmage, throughout. We did get to transition, back into Doak. So it was good to get some extensive work there. We got well over 100 plays, tonight, which is, what I wanted to see. There's some, good things on both sides, some explosive plays that showed up. Was pleased with, you know, really opportunities that both sides of the ball were able to capitalize on. First drive, Jerry Wilson was able to have a great interception, outstanding play. It was, one of the first team interceptions that we'd thrown with the first group, and I was really pleased with Tommy and his response. I think the next 2 drives came back and led touchdown drives, I believe. Had some big throws, was able to respond well in that situation. And that's part of it. Nobody ever wants to make a mistake, with the turnover, but what you do from that. I thought he showed a lot of maturity. I thought Tommy had a really good night tonight. You can see him really settling into the thing he's being asked to do. He's, I think, the development of him as just a total and complete quarterback is something I'm excited that we're seeing. He plays with great energy. You can feel his presence on the field with the guys that are around him. And I thought he did great things with his arm. And being able to push the ball down the field. Squirrel White had a couple really big plays, a long touchdown where you got to showcase his speed, and a great ball from Tommy. Another skilled guy that showed up. I'm really excited is Mekhi Danzy had a couple really nice plays tonight. Was able to get the ball down the field. You showed some elusiveness. On a short pass. Another run. I mean, he was able to do some good things with those opportunities. Amari Williams, had a couple nice plays there. Offensively. I'm excited about just his growth and the things that he's doing. Defensively, I thought the guys flew around. We were able to create some pressure. James Williams showed up again, in some good situations. I tell you, a young freshman that kind of caught my eye tonight was Shamara No. He's probably the last week. You're seeing some real steps that he's taking. Still has a lot of area of growth, but I mean, he had an incredible physicality play that you out on the perimeter, one-on-one in space, where he was able to get the running back down, that which basically forced a third down situation, which the defense was able to get a stop on. But I mean, and then I think he had a forced fumble later on in the practice. They're later in the scrimmage, and so he's somebody that's showing up, really pushing for more time in what he's trying to do, in what he's trying to do as a true freshman. But I like his progression. And it was, like I said, it was competitive back and forth. A lot of different situations that we were able to play through. And obviously, when you look at the offensive line, defensive line, I think both sides of the ball had positive and negative things that we get to grow from. I thought we played with emotion, but much more controlled emotion tonight. We definitely limited the focus penalties. I thought I was much cleaner in that regards. But still some procedural things that we'll need to get cleaned up. And but it was good to be able to get the coaches up in the box. It's the first time that we've, as a staff, have been able to be in Doak Campbell. With spring practice, the stadium was unavailable, so it was a first for a lot of guys. And I thought it was a good night of work.
After I guess 10, 11 practices, do you have a sense of either side of the ball kind of controlling the action more consistently than the other, or has it truly been back and forth?
No, I think it's been good with the way guys have responded. There's been segments of it to where whether it's a set of periods where one side will be more dominant than the other. But it's really, you feel the fight of this team, and something that's you're hopeful for. Um, Obviously both sides, what we do schematically can present unique challenges, and working through guys, and being able to as we're getting to know our personnel, the things that they're that they do well, and trying to continue to build to the foundation of what we're going to be able to pull from throughout the course of this fall. I think it's been great work, and we put some guys in some challenging situations. One, just to see the fight, to see what they're going to do in those moments. But I think they've responded well. I mean, it's a competitive group, and even through tonight, I mean, there was good swings of back and forth where you saw explosiveness on both sides of the ball. There's a few lulls where you want, as you get deeper into the personnel, where guys have to capitalize on the opportunities that they're getting. But with each practice that goes by, I mean, we're one step closer to August 30th, and guys are defining their roles, and no matter what they've done before, it comes down to what we see now, and that edge and that production that they're showing is something that we're strong in every bit of the evaluation.
You mentioned at the top, Mike, Tommy having the interception and the response for a couple drives. Sure, he doesn't want to have any mistakes, but for you to see that response to a mistake, I mean, how important is that data point for you to see that, and especially in this setting in the scrimmage?
No, it was. I mean, like I said, you don't ever want a mistake, but sometimes you kind of need to see. You need to see what's real, because to say you're not gonna be mistake free. And you started the scrimmage actually with an explosive play, and just and I'll tell you, and Jerry made a great play on the pick, and that was so kind of both sides of it. You're excited, but then it was for me like, well, how's he going to come back from that, and how he responded. That it probably gives me more confidence than all the other things that you see when it's going well. I mean, that's the mark of a great quarterback, and that's what you have to be able to do. And so we're challenging Tommy. What I like is he's challenging himself, and I think he's growing throughout this fall camp. I think Coach Tokar's, Coach Malzahn, the way that they are bringing him along, and the confidence that he's showing in his coaches and what they're asking him to do is showing up, and we're going to continue to push. And I think Coach Malzahn's getting a great vision of all the things that these guys can do, and with every practice. So we're just going to continue to tie and build upon that.
With the interception from Jerry, I know after Tuesday and a couple times in Jacks, you mentioned finishing those opportunities when you had turnover chances. Was there any more than that, or was it just the Jerry one? And how good was it to see that kind of in play for you guys?
No, it was obviously that was a great play, and we had some good plays on the perimeter where guys were able to rattle balls out, and be able to. Like I said, we did have a forced fumble. We had a couple of violent plays to the ball, but I thought it was a good night. Obviously go back and see some areas where we can continue to be a step closer, to be able to continue to put ourselves in position to create those takeaways. But all in all, I thought it was good work on that side of the ball.
How did that first team O-line perform for you this evening? And in general, where do you feel they're at this point in preseason?
No, I mean, I think they're definitely coming along, and you're seeing that group. They're moving more in sync. With each practice, and I think that confidence is building. I think it's a really it's an experienced group. They're just not experienced together, and so as they're growing through each practice, you could see um, the trust that they're earning with each other, just in whether it's through different games that they're facing, or different alignments that might show up. I mean, they're executing at a higher level. Still a lot of competition that's showing up within that group, and guys that are pushing themselves. But I thought they did some good things. There's some good runs. A couple times. where they had to gain a couple hard yards, and you got to see him, be able to create a little bit of space, and it was good to see.
Back to Brendan.
You've mentioned Squirrel White a few times. The last few times we've talked to you, is he kind of ascending? Is he starting to kind of get back to what he was, pre-injury form, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, you see the confidence that he's playing with. I mean, I don't think there's anything that's holding him back, from in regards to his previous injury. He's definitely playing fast. He was able to put that on display tonight, and I like his attitude, I like his mindset. And he's making plays when he's getting those opportunities.
You've been doing the Jacksonville trip now for several years. Is it still helpful? Like, did you feel like coming out of that you accomplished what you hoped for over there?
Oh, absolutely. And even just the way that it played out. I mean, we had a lightning delay, and I can't remember the days, but our first practice down there, and that was something that really challenged and provided an opportunity, for us to work through that, maintain focus. The way that we came out, I thought it was a very competitive, few days. The way that the guys approached, the work. I mean, it was as I told you after practice. I mean, you felt the emotion, you felt the fight, you felt the push for improvement. And it's such a great time for us when we get over there just to be together. And I think it's there's that times, it's invaluable for us. I mean, just what those opportunities provide, even if it's just, being able to share a dorm room, be able to get to know your teammates, be able to, be uncomfortable together, and it's, UNF's a great place. And, I think they're so accommodating to us. I mean, they did a great job with the fields. I mean, great job in everything, but it's just different, and for those guys to spend that quality time together, I mean, it's big. And especially when you have newcomers, new coaches, I thought that was, probably one of our best trips that we've had for the things that I wanted to get accomplished and that we needed to get accomplished. For it definitely all showed up.
Yeah, Mike, I was just wondering who you thought, on first glance, without looking at the film, who was your best running back, most impressive running back tonight?
Without watching the film yet, I thought there was some good runs. I know, Ooze had a couple of touchdowns there in the red zone. We got a little bit of red zone work, and he looked good in what he did. Gavin Sawchuk's continuing to come along. Roydell Williams, is really done some good things. It's just as a complete back. Cam Davis, I think, is continuing to progress. Sam Singleton, did a couple really good things, and we got some good kickoff cover, kickoff return. I mean, Sam looked really good, tonight, and had a nice run as well. Because I think did a couple good things, but it was that group. I'm excited about what they're showing. It's just and I've said this throughout. It's they. The separating factors. You're not going to do it with just one back. I mean, that's not, but who's going to separate themselves to be, the one, or, guys that are going to be, heavy in that work, and force, force the time, force the priority and what they're doing. And you have to be complete in that. You got to be able to, do it with the ball in your hands. You got to do it without the ball in your hands. Coach Malzahn, he's had great success, and with that position, as well as, just within, our career, just of, being able to utilize, different guys and showcase what they can do. So, really excited about, the continued growth in that room. And, I'll get a chance to watch film and, see, get into a little bit more of the finer details of what led to that production, or what, maybe some of the missed opportunities.
With the in-stadium communication between the staff and you guys talking, one, how did that go? And two, how is it different for you this year versus how you've operated in the past, specific to yourself?
No, I mean, it was good, to see guys and to be able to hear, both sides, just cleaning up from last week. Even though we were in the IPF, there were still some things communication wise that I didn't like. And so being able to kind of address that, be able to see, coaches respond and be a little bit more efficient, and how we're going to communicate together. I think that's critical, especially just with how we play, the information on the sideline with the substitutions, for the elements of what information we're getting from the press box. I mean, all of that is critical. And for me, just being able to work all, and I'm trying to address the situations that show up throughout the course of the scrimmage, just to re-emphasize the importance of um, whatever element or experience that these guys or coaches are facing, and then making sure that whether it's an opportunity to improve it immediately, or if it's something that we're going to have to build upon, and just for me to be able to address those in the moment, and to be able to have both sides of the ball, it's been really good.
Two scrimmages, Jacksonville week. I think Tony had called this identity week for you guys. You got these sample sets. What do you think the identity is starting to become? What have you learned about the team through this last week or so?
I mean, I see it as a very competitive team, and it's something that we need to be. I mean, it needs to be, regardless of where you are, what you do, circumstance you face. I mean, are you going to fight for it? Are you going to be willing to go and compete with all you got to go, make that next play? And there's going to be plays that you're going to lose. I mean, that's going to happen in the course of every game. The best teams that have ever done it, you'll lose plays here and there. But what you do from that is, that is the identity. And we tried to make this week extremely challenging. We've had our adversity in the scrimmages, just with the weather, and trying to work through those dynamics. And these guys, they haven't blinked, and they're still. That's practice 10. We got, essentially you get 25 practices to be able to prepare for your first game. And, we're 10 practices in. I like the what these guys are bringing, and the fight that they're showing. But now we got to continue to build upon the efficiency, the execution, and really just establish the roles of what these guys are going to be here early in the season, and then also the opportunities that they'll have to determine that as the season progresses.
Mike, you've mentioned Mackay twice now after scrimmages. With what he went through after track, getting the injury, coming back, learning a new position, how impressed are you with just the way he's acclimated early on?
I mean, I think he's doing a good job. He's still learning. Obviously he's transitioning, to the receiver position, and I think that not having much practice in the spring, and even though he was there at meetings and be able to utilize that time, I mean, it is still, you got to get on the field, and you got to go through the work. And I think he's growing in that confidence. We still want more from him, and but when you get opportunities to go produce, he's showing up. I mean, he's done a good job. I think we got some of the young receivers that we have. I mean, they're pushing to, to go be it. And, I really like the group that, how they've kind of emerged, and the way they're challenging themselves. But now it's like, I mean, you can go out there and you can run a route, you can catch a ball, but there's so many different other elements that you got to be on point with, within this offense of playing fast, of the communication, to make sure that we have 11 guys playing as one, just whatever your role might be. So, just helping these guys, have the big picture understanding. But, at the end of the day, when you're productive, when you get that ball in your hands, it's we can find opportunities. So, just excited to see him continue to build that.
You mentioned James Williams again. How's he coming around in terms of being an every down guy, not just a pass rushing type specialist?
No, I mean, I think he's done really well, and he plays really, really hard. And, obviously what he does on third downs, and what he's been able to do, in pass rush situations, here even early in his career, something that we were excited about coming in. But I do think that his development of being able to play the run, of him to being an every down type of player. I was excited. I'm excited to see the growth in some of those guys on the defensive front. You know, I think, Jaden Jones has really showed to come on. It was great. Jason Jenkins, got some work tonight, which, was something that never, him and Jacob Rizzi, who were both out with injuries, this spring, still trying to track what it was going to look like, what it was going to be. And both those guys got live work tonight, which, I mean, kudos to our athletic training staff, kudos to those kids for the work they put in. I mean, but, they're trending in a great way. And, when you can have, that kind of depth, Deontay McCray, I think he did some good things that I saw tonight, made some plays in the backfield. Tay Diggs, has got to continue to come on, but I like the ability that we're seeing. You know, I think that defensive front, you want to be able to play multiple guys to be able to have, when it comes to third downs, I mean, you're putting guys and go get home to the quarterback that, they're not having to play every single play. But back to the question of James is really developing into a guy that I think can be a great player here. And, he's doing it in all facets and, definitely continuing to grow, in all elements of his game. Thank you, Coach. All right. Thank you guys. Have a good night.